Chasing my destiny.
What's up, y'all? Welcome to the Black Book Podcast. We're getting ready for season 2. I'm your host, Eric Charles, or better known as EC. So like I said, season 2 is right around the corner. But before I get into season 2, let me take you back to season 1 to see some of my favorite points.
As far as the shipping part of it, it's not only just the weight, it's the dimensions of it. Well, how does it fit into the space? And
Right.
if the dimension, sometimes you can have small weight, but it's like awkward dimensions and it costs you, arm and a leg, you know what I mean? Or it could be heavy, but it's relatively, the dimensions are really kind of small. So you can, it goes, both ways. As far as if you wanted to, I don't know, we could pick a product. Let's say you want to import some shoes.
Right.
Today, I think it's fairly easy. If you are bringing stuff in as samples, right? Samples, it's a lot easier. Once you start bringing in bulk, customs will be all over you.
People usually speak about China and Africa relations as if Africa is like completely helpless,
Right.
like they're being toyed with. But then for my thing is, I think African leaders particularly are going to play an important role in how the relationships are going to go forward. All these videos we see on the internet and all the propaganda, it's tough to discern, because if China, for whatever bad they say they're doing in Africa, you can't compare it with all the 100, 200 years that we've been suffering with the West.
So what led me to China actually was a promise that I made to my best friend.
All right, and can you tell me a little bit more about your business, right? So you got this business in Guangzhou. It's a translating business.
Yeah, so that's one of the services we offer. So
Okay.
the name is Bold Connect International. So it's BOLLD double L. So Bold Connect International is like a business services agency, and what we do is we have grown, I will say, into this type of agency, and we want to serve as this connection between Chinese companies.
Now that I'm studying, there's all these kids who are starting to learn about my experience in China. And I'm telling them, you have to go abroad. You have to experience China. The most interesting thing about the people that come to China, in my opinion, is that it's so diverse. Like, you have to remember that China is giving a chance to so many people. The American dream is now the Chinese dream.
I found out that you had a book and things like that. And so,
My baby.
oh, and you got it with you. You don't share your poems?
So that's the crazy part, right? Like, I did not share my poems. I was in China, and God put it on my heart to write a children's book. So many ways to mix, twist, and twirl all the shades and hues that make up my pretty brown world. 3 color combinations, an endless assortment of pigments: apricot, beige, peach, clay. We are quite the colorful array. Everything we do is for the culture. Black girl magic, black boy swag. We coming for y'all. We coming for everything.
I had an amazing time conversing with all my season 1 guests. But now I want to show you a sneak peek of what's to come in season 2. We have a person in finance.
The education of here's what an emergency fund is. Here's why you should file taxes. Here is what a retirement plan is, and here's like an 80-20 rule.
A person who came to China pregnant.
7. On one of those visits, I was getting the stress test done, and I noticed the nurse videotaping me.
Mm.
So I mentioned it to one of my friends, who mentioned it to one of her students, who mentioned it to his daddy, who mentioned it to the province's medical director, who called a meeting on my behalf and let the hospital know that was not behavior that would be happening as long as I was there.
A comedian.
She's like, oh, if you ever go to China, you should get you a Chinese name. I was sitting there, I already knew kanji, I already knew how to write. So I was like, all right, let's look at something. Let me see. Black. And it was just, hey. And I was like, ooh, Bruce Lee. I love Bruce Lee. What's that? Long. And then I was like, hey, Long. Shit. Hey, what's the word for dong? And she was like, dong, what do you mean? I was like, D-O-N-G. And she's like, oh, that means whole. I said, perfect. Well, sometimes people don't get it yet.
We even dropping history lessons.
White Europeans kidnapping Africans and dragging them into the transatlantic slave trade. That's not historically accurate. It's actually Africans who are incentivized to go into the interior and kidnap other Africans from other ethnic groups.
Now, besides having our regular episodes of interviewing guests who live abroad, which are all dope, by the way, we'll also be having a special series of episodes called Because of Slavery. And then because of slavery, there will be guests giving their perspective on certain aspects of American chattel slavery and how it has affected Black Americans today in terms of culture and society. So before season 2 comes up, make sure you get caught up on season 1. You don't want to miss anything. To listen to season 2 and catch up on season 1, you can listen to the Black Book Podcast on Spotify, the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to podcasts.
I'm just on a mission. I'm trying to live my dream.